The Final Four, Chapter 9, Malcolm McBride, 7:36 p.m. Malcolm sees Rocco extending a hand to MJ, reaching to pick him up off the court. As a reminder, in the last chapter, MJ tried to shoot the ball from almost half court. He missed, it went in, but it went back out, and so he kind of like landed on the court, and he's been sitting there. So Rocco, being the nice guy he is, goes over, extends a hand to him to help him stand up. "Don't offer your hand to my man," snarls Malcolm, rushing over. "Go worry about your own players. Go save your stupid mascot from catching a beat." Rocco holds both palms out in front of Malcolm, like a Trojan shield. "No sweat," says Rocco, backing away. "You can help him." Then Malcolm reaches an arm out to MJ and says, "Next time, pick your own self up. Nobody helps you in this world but yourself. And you're not supposed to be hoisting bombs. You should be setting screens to get me open." Right. So Malcolm, of course, it's all about him. He should have been the one making that final shot from half court because, of course, he would have made it, right? He's upset at MJ for even trying, which is ridiculous. "Are you kidding me? I almost won it," MJ tells him, rising to his feet with Malcolm's help. "That almost stuff is for losers. I'm going to win us this game," says Malcolm, heading back towards the Michigan State bench alone. At the Spartans bench, Barker pulls Malcolm, MJ, and the rest of the players in around him. "On offense, start by pounding the ball low to our big men, Grizzly and Baby Bear," croaks Barker, looking almost directly into Malcolm's eyes. 5 minutes is a long time. We want to get that last foul on their center, Rice. They've got no one with any size to fill his shoes. So attack him. He's either got to foul or let us go to the hoop. Once they crumble inside, this game is over. Now, let's get it done." Ringing inside of Malcolm's head is one contrary phrase. "Just give me the ball." But of course, he doesn't say it out loud, not in front of Barker. An instant before the huddle breaks, Malcolm's the last one to drop his hand on the pile, putting his at the very top. Very typical Malcolm behavior. August, 1 year and 7 months ago. So we have a flashback here. It was a few minutes past 10 p.m. With his parents having just gone to bed, Malcolm grabbed the framed photo of his sister, the one of her full face smiling soft like a heavenly angel's, from the glass table in the living room. He snuck it out of the apartment and brought it with him to a house party in one of the other Brewster Douglas buildings. A basketball buddy of Malcolm's who was running the party, another guy going into his senior year of high school along with Malcolm, told him a scratcher would be there. Not just any scratcher, but one with some real skills. Malcolm had already seen the guy's work on somebody's arm, a blazing basketball being dunked through a hoop of fire, a tat that caught Malcolm's eye straight off. So a scratcher, in essence, is like an illegal tattoo artist, right? So he's doing this not in a studio. I don't know if he's licensed. He's probably not licensed, all that kinds of stuff. But he can do, like he is good at doing tattoos. Or I guess some of them are good at doing tattoos, I should say. Some of them are not. At 17, Malcolm was too young for a legit tattoo parlor. He could have asked his parents for a letter to bring with him, but Malcolm knew they weren't going to sign off on him getting inked. A cousin of Malcolm's forged a letter like that once, but the artist at that tattoo parlor looked up his aunt and uncle's phone number and called them. So the cousin missed out on his tat and got himself whipped at home besides. When Malcolm first saw the scratcher at the party, he started to have serious doubts about letting that guy anywhere near him with a needle. The guy had a pair of silver rings through his nose and another pair piercing his upper lip. He wore a shiny purple shirt and a fedora hat turned off to the side. And he had an African name that Malcolm couldn't wrap his tongue around, even after hearing it twice. But when the scratcher saw Trisha's photo, he said in a rock-solid voice, "She's beautiful. I remember seeing her before, around this neighborhood. I'm so sorry for your loss, my brother." So Malcolm let him take the photo from his hand and go into the next room to sketch it. So Malcolm sneaks out of his house with this photo of his sister Trisha. He goes to a house party where he knows this scratcher, this illegal tattoo artist, is going to be because he wants to get a tattoo of his sister on his body, but he knows his parents would never allow him to do so. "Don't stress what he looks like," Malcolm's buddy said on the down low beneath the steady stream of hip-hop. "That's how most of these artistic dudes are, way out there. What did you expect, for him to look like a baller carrying a big box of crayons?" "I guess you're right," answered Malcolm on the fringe of a living room full of dancing teens. Then, maybe 10 minutes later, the guy came back with a sketch of Trisha's face that was so lifelike it nearly stopped Malcolm's heart cold. "How much for ink of that? Here," asked Malcolm, slapping at his right biceps. The scratcher wanted $175. That was 50 more than Malcolm had in his pocket, money he'd saved up a little at a time since Trisha's death. He'd collected that stack mostly by staying hungry over the past year, putting aside part of his school lunch money. So this is like giving us a little side of Malcolm's humanity here. We've seen he's always out for number one. He doesn't seem like a nice person. He's not nice to his teammates. He's not nice to the other team. So he hasn't had a lot of redeeming qualities, but here we can see just how much he loved his sister Trisha. So much so that he's been going hungry over the past year during lunch to save all of that money he would normally spend on lunch to get a tattoo of her face on his arm to always remember her by. So we are seeing this little glimpse of humanity from Malcolm here. Yo, Malk, my cut's $25 of whatever tats get inked at my party, but I'm not about to make a profit off of Trisha's memory. Just slice that amount right off there, and you've got that much closer. That's cool, said Malcolm, connecting a closed fist to his friends, but I'm still short. Forget all the money talk, said the Scratcher. I'll take the $125. That's not a favor to nobody, Malcolm wanted to make it clear. Favor? No, I'm being selfish. I'm doing this for me. It's for my art, said the Scratcher. Besides, I have a sister that's passed, too. Malcolm took off his shirt. Then he sat at the kitchen table, which was covered with empty beer bottles and Doritos bags, while the guy made a carbon copy of his sketch. He pressed it onto Malcolm's arm, and it transferred over, like a 50-cent fake tat that you'd buy in a candy store. The Scratcher put on a pair of rubber gloves, and his machine with the needle started to buzz over the music from the party. Don't forget to breathe, he told Malcolm, with a few girls from the party hovering close by, the people who pass out getting inked for the first time. It's not from the pain. It's because they forget to breathe. Man, I'm not going to faint, insisted Malcolm. I never punked out like that in my whole life. When the Scratcher started, first Malcolm felt the vibration on his skin, and then the sting from the needle. This'll help, said his buddy, putting a bottle of beer into Malcolm's left hand. People at the party kept coming into the kitchen to watch. That's her. That's exactly her. I feel like Trisha's here tonight. It took the Scratcher an hour to finish the ink, and Malcolm didn't look over at it once. Then, when it was done, he walked up to a plastic frame mirror on the living room wall. It's like she's alive in my heart and on my arm now, said Malcolm, flexing his biceps to give Trisha's face even more expression. Then the Scratcher put on a big bandage over the tat and taped it down tight. What gives? Why are you covering her up? Asked Malcolm. It's a fresh wound, said the Scratcher, handing Malcolm the name of an ointment to buy and rub it on every day for a week. There are bacteria in the ear. Believe me, you don't want to risk getting an infection. Keep it covered for a day or two. On summer nights, Malcolm had to be home by midnight, but with his parents already asleep, he didn't stress over the clock, and he figured he was safe as he walked in the door 15 minutes past his curfew. Malcolm had just put the photo of Trisha back and was heading to bed when his mama came out of the bathroom in her robe. Did you just get home? My lord, what's that bandage on your arm? Did you get hurt? Stabbed? Did a doctor put that on? She screamed loud enough to wake Malcolm's father, who came running out of the bedroom in his boxers. Calm down, Mama. Relax. I'm all right, pleaded Malcolm. Relax, you're hurt. I know you weren't playing ball this time of night. Now, was it a fight? She demanded. Malcolm's father rubbed his eyes, looked at the bandage, and said angrily, I've got a bad feeling the only fight he lost was with his good judgment at a tattoo joint. Not a tattoo, Malcolm, she hollered. You're a minor. If some idiot drew on your skin, I'll sue him all the way to Toledo. You don't understand, Mama. Malcolm's father ripped the bandage off. That's when all the yelling turned to silence. His mama gently brushed the portrait of Trisha with her fingertips. I didn't want you to see it for another 2 days, said Malcolm. Happy early birthday, Mama. It's a present for you. She slipped her hand around Malcolm's neck, pulled him in close, and kissed him on the forehead. So we see again like this really sweet moment of, yes, Malcolm seems like a terrible person in so many ways, but he does love his family a lot, and we get this really sweet moment between him and his parents once they discover what he's done in Trisha's memory. So now we're going back to the present from that morning's national newspaper. Paying the price of amateurism. New Orleans, Louisiana. Attending the Final Four can be a costly endeavor. Travel, hotel rooms, and meals can put a severe strain on a family's budget. But as far as the NCAA is concerned, it's an appropriate burden for the families of players. The parents, grandparents, and siblings of players must pay their own way to attend the Final Four. The only perk the players receive are 6 free tickets to each game, which can be distributed to their family and friends, but under no circumstances sell for profit. So think about that. Like, this game is all about them. Like, this is their game. And yet, their families have to pay all that money to get there. The players only get 6 free tickets each, and they can't resell them for money. I mean, these are some crazy rules. Perhaps this policy wouldn't come under such scrutiny by those who believe it's unfair if it weren't for the nearly 400 people who are having their Final Four trips paid for by the participating universities. These people include university presidents, trustees and their spouses, coaches' wives and children, several babysitters and selected booster program supporters, guests who have made past monetary donations. In addition, a number of these people receive a $205 per diem for their trip to the Final Four, increased from the $165 per diem provided for the tournament's earlier rounds. Okay, so it's kind of crazy to think about because all these people are people that are not really connected to the players at all, that are connected to the university. They get all of this free money and free trips and stuff, but the players get 6 tickets, right? And that's it. So is that fair? Why the difference in treatment between these pampered guests and the players' family members? The NCAA views the freebie folks as professionals, while the players are considered amateurs and are therefore unable to receive any financial benefit. Though the NCAA admits the rules can be tough on players' families, they assert that it is necessary to ensure the integrity of amateur competition. The parents of players have varying views on this issue. I think it's very wrong, said Maggie Davenport, a U.S. postal worker whose son plays for the University of North Carolina. As a family, we've had to make some really hard choices with our finances to see our son play. We'll have no new roof on our house this year. We'll deal with a leak or two and pray it rains less. Yet I know that some of these people get a free ride here, make 10 times as much as I do in salary. How is that fair? Without our children and the hard work we put into raising them, there wouldn't be an NCAA basketball tournament or a Final Four. Television and marketing rights fees account for more than $700 million in revenues for the NCAA. Over 90% of that money ultimately goes to member schools. Robert Cousins, a computer programmer whose son is a senior on the Michigan State team, has become more tolerant of the system over the years. At first, I felt it was hypocritical. Now I realize that if the rules weren't in place, there would probably be some parents taking advantage of the situation, receiving payments from all kinds of people, both good-hearted and bad, said Cousins. This way there's never a cloud of suspicion. Yes, I've spent money on travel and hotels to see my son play, but I haven't had to pay a dime for his college education. College boosters are also not allowed to give aid to players' families, not unless those boosters have a similar history of providing aid to the families of non-athletes as well. This way, the athletes don't benefit from being on the team. I wish the NCAA made allowances for low-income families. After all, let's be honest, this is a business, said a parent who wished to remain anonymous. Maybe years ago, when the dollar figures were much less, a free college education was an equal trade-off. But nowadays, with the money the schools and the NCAA are making on the talents of our kids, it's a ripoff. They shine that light of being an amateur on you. Meanwhile, the professionals who run the behind-the-scenes of college basketball are in the dark somewhere, counting their money. So this article kind of gives both two different viewpoints on how, the players and their families aren't compensated for this at all and whether or not they should be. So that ongoing debate of, what should be the compensation for college athletes, the NIL, and everything that goes along with that.